Welcome to another episode of Stuck in My Mind podcast. I am your host, Wize, and today's guest is the incredible Arlene Cohen Miller, a work-life balance coach, certified meditation facilitator, professional certified coach, and CEO of Jewel Consultancy. I'm very excited to have her and speak to her, so let's bring her on stage. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I am doing great. I can't complain. All right, so Arlene, what inspired you to transition from law to coaching and healing work?
Well, it wasn't like a snap judgment. It happened really over time. I started delving more into healing work when I got divorced, and my son was 3, and he had some ADHD, and I was trying to help him out. So we just didn't immediately put him on drugs, and I learned a bunch of healing modalities and started exploring how I could help him. And I guess maybe if you're a parent or any parents out there, you sort of know how that goes when you're trying to help your kid. You go on a healing journey yourself. And so I think it started way back then, even though I was very much an attorney with my own practice of law when he was born. And I didn't become a coach till much later. I didn't get my certification in coaching till 2011, and around my certification as a transformational holistic counseling, like a year or so later, and a meditation facilitator a couple years after that. So it was a journey, and I was an attorney with my own firm, and in a partnership firm for a long, long time, like, almost 30 years. And practice of law is not easy. And I was doing coaching and mentoring as an attorney, because I was doing negotiation. I was doing a lot of the marketing for the firm, which I really loved. But I just really felt that it was time to move on and to make that more of my full-time life. Um, there's a lot of stress that goes in the practice of law, and not nearly as much in coaching and mentoring and facilitating and speaking. So yeah, I just decided to transition. It was a gradual process. It wasn't like I was hit by some lightning bolt and all of a sudden I changed.
So how did your own work-life balance struggles shape the way you coach others today?
Well, I call it work-life balance and harmony now because I want to bring harmony into the process because it's impossible to be perfect and balance ourselves. Well, when I opened my first law firm at age 29, didn't know what the heck I was doing, just knew that I wasn't finding a law firm that I wanted to work for that wanted me. And I started my own solo practice in this little storefront office in Lakewood, Ohio, which is a western suburb of Cleveland. And immediately found out, like a month after I opened my doors and put out my shingle, that I was pregnant. So all of my family, all of my tribe, all of my friends from law school were at least 6 hours away from me. And my husband at the time was um, becoming certified to do what he did. So he was working, 70 plus hours a week. And I had to find my own tribe. And it wasn't easy, to be pregnant when you're first starting off your company, trying to get it off the ground, wondering how the heck you're going to take care of a baby while you're doing that, knowing that I wanted to practice law. So I went through that whole process myself. Whether I was single or married or divorced, I was always the primary caretaker of my son, even though his father was in the picture part of the time. And so I had to figure things out. I had to gather my own tribe. I had to make it work. I had to be the best mother I could be under the circumstances. And it wasn't the easiest process. I'm really, really grateful for it. But I guess I have that foundational knowing, as a professional and as a mother and as a partner and not a partner, to work with a lot of people. And so that's what I really enjoy bringing to others.
So what does a typical day of harmony look like for you now?
um, well, I guess I'm older and wiser because I don't push myself as hard as I used to, but I really do love what I do. So I always make sure that I have time for self-care. And that was something I sort of squeezed in a lot more when I was younger, but I make sure that I have time to meditate or to get outside in nature or to have a yoga class or something that's going to really, fill up my cup with love and connect with the people that I care about. And at the same time, I'm pretty busy with all the different things I do with coaching and mentoring and speaking and facilitating classes. And I'm always engaged in some sort of course of study because I do love to learn and grow. So I feel that that's the kind of the balance and harmony that I have. Some days it feels like, oh, I have a lot on my plate like everybody else. But I really feel that, I don't know, I guess I'm much more grateful than when I was younger. I think I tended to look on everything more what was going wrong than that what I have to be grateful for. And the older I've gotten and the more life that I've experienced, it feels like my focus is more on what I'm moving towards and what I have to be grateful and thankful for in my life. And so that brings a lot of harmony and balance to me because of course what we're focusing on, is what we're going to get more of no matter how busy we are.
So how do you personally quiet your inner critic when it gets loud?
But at least now I'm aware of it. When I was in my 20s, I wasn't even aware that it was running. It's just blah, blah, blah in my ear all the time, and I was spouting it out. So I think the first thing we need to do is just, be aware. Just ask the universe, ask God, ask source, however you talk about that greater being that's a part of all of us. I really want to be aware of how I'm talking to myself because a lot of people simply aren't. And I wasn't. I really wasn't. I thought the way I related to my friends was to tell them everything that was wrong in my relationships in my life. And you look back and you go, that wasn't the wisest thing to do. So become aware. And then what we can do is once we're aware, we want to bring that inner coach to the fore. Most people that I deal with are already coaching or being supportive of other people in their life. Like someone comes to them with a problem or a situation, or they're a little bit down or negative, they know how to support them, to nurture them, to encourage them, to maybe tell them in a nice way that their head is up a dark place if they're really going down a deep, dark hole. And we forget that we have those skills and we can turn around and we can give that to ourselves. So it's really important to coach ourselves and to when that inner critic is going blah blah blah, say no thank you. You're in the back seat, I'm buckling you in. I am the driver's seat now. I am the adult. You're my personality. No, I'm going to, I hear what you're saying. Some of what you're saying might be valid. You want to get outside, you want to get some fresh air, you want to do this or that. Okay. But right now we need to get this done. So I think it's a matter of taking care of ourselves in a multifaceted way and also being kind to ourselves, not being so hard on ourselves. And if
Yeah.
we aren't, to give ourselves permission because it's not selfish. It's the best thing we can do.
Yeah, and that's something I'm always talking about is that we say some really bad, mean stuff to ourselves sometimes, and sometimes it's stuff we won't allow other people to say to us. So why are we allowing ourselves to say these things to ourselves?
Right. Why are we?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's maybe learned behavior. Maybe we've taken on some things from some other adults. Maybe we are just doing it to survive, because one of the theories is that sometimes we're a lot harder on ourselves, so that if someone is mean to us, it doesn't hurt that bad. But that's just not the truth. It doesn't work that way. So don't do that.
what are your favorite go-to tools in your emergency toolkit for when life feels overwhelming?
Well, I'll show you mine. I just want to encourage your audience that we can practice things that can help us now, maybe two or three things that if we start to go down that rabbit hole, we're talking negatively to ourselves, or we just feel really ragged out, or whatever we're feeling. If we practice those things when we're feeling pretty good, then when we're really having a difficult moment, we can apply that emergency toolkit automatically and it becomes a part of who we are. Because if we just try to do it when we're feeling horrible or really upset or triggered, it's not going to work. So one thing that I do is I'm a little bit out there, but it's really, really important to be grounded and fully present. So the easiest way that I can explain to do that is I pretend that I'm a tree. I'm like, I feel really sturdy, like there's this column of light coming down me. It goes out my legs as these roots of light. It anchors deep into the planet. I am grounded. I am rock solid. Nobody can push me over. And I focus on what's going on in this minute. I'm not focusing on what I could worry about in the future. I'm not focusing on a good time or something I feel bad about the past. I'm right here, right now, with myself and with whoever that I'm with. And being grounded and having those roots of light really helps me. Now, this is just me. Whatever works for you, that's great. The other thing that I do is that when I get upset or I'm triggered, is I stop breathing, or I'm breathing way up here, and and that tells my body a bear is chasing me. You're gonna die. Do something now. So I just slow down. I just practice some. I'm gonna breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, just some nice deep breaths. Or if I can't make a noise because I'm where I'm at and other people, I might just be breathing in through my nose and out through my nose with the out breath longer than the in breath. So I'm telling myself it's okay to relax. Physiologically, that helps us to calm down. So those are the first two things. And the next thing I do is another thing that's energetic, is that if anyone thinks about me or I think about them, or I'm upset by something that's happened in the world or anything that's going on in my life, I develop an energetic connection with them. Which means if I haven't cut those energetic cords, if they're having a bad hair day, I'm going to suddenly feel horrible, and it's nothing that I can do about it. It's their stuff, and I won't know what hit me. I don't know why all of a sudden I feel so crappy. So what I do is I just visualize this golden cylinder coming down around my body and just saying, cut any energetic connections that aren't about love. Send them back to who they belong. And anything that's mine, I'm going to handle later, if I'm having a difficult moment. So I just cut energetic connections that aren't about me and aren't about love because I can't clear them. The only person that can clear what's going on for them is the person that sent it to me. And lots of times people are not even aware that they're doing this, but it goes back to them. And they might be upset because I'm not checking their make me happy box if my energy is a little bit higher than theirs. And sometimes I just have to keep on cutting those cords. If someone keeps on popping in your head or some situation keeps on popping in your head, just ask that cord cutting to continually go until they just get frustrated and they go about their merry way. So those are some of the three things that I do for myself. That if it works for you, great. But whatever really helps you as the audience to come back to that relaxed space when you are triggered, when you are having a difficult moment, know what those are and practice them when you're feeling good.
How do you help your clients shift from survival mode to joy mode?
Well, I don't think it's a hop, skip, and a jump sometimes. Sometimes we have to just be in that kind of neutral zone where we're not getting totally knocked over by a huge tornado or something. And it's a process. What works for you. If lots of times what happens, I feel, with a lot of us is that we take things personally. Someone says something and we take it personally. And if we really look at the situation, it's saying a lot more about them than it is about us. And even if something in what they say is true and that sort of really, really knocked us over, so what? What can I learn from this situation? How can I let things go? How can I grow and evolve from the grain of sand of truth that's in there? And how can I just let the rest of that stuff go? So sometimes it's a process. Sometimes we need to go off by ourselves. For me personally, one of my happy places is just getting out in nature and getting away from my computer, getting away from my cell phone, breathing and coming to a new place. Or sometimes it's just, we just need like some sort of, I call it an intermezzo, like, a scoop of sorbet in between the two courses of dinner in our life or something. Find some way that helps us to chill down and to let go. Maybe it's a power walk. Maybe it's a quick hot shower and a fresh, clean set of clothes. We need to do something to remove ourselves from how we're feeling so that we can begin to start afresh and just really look at, what am I taking personally? What am I making mean something, instead of just saying, that's their thing. I'm going to let that go. Or if it's some big stress that we're putting on ourselves, okay, I need to get this thing done. I feel really stressed about it. What's the first small step that I can take? And then breathe, acknowledge, and celebrate that success, instead of putting the burden on ourselves and having an expectation that we do everything at once. So those are kind of two situations that are common that a lot of people deal with. So I hope that's helpful.
You've talked about grace and patience. How do you build those qualities in a high performance world?
Grace and patience. Well, grace, ease, and flow is a lot easier than beating ourselves up with a hammer. And so I guess what impatience is, when we're impatient, I guess what I like to share with people, when I'm impatient, what I'm doing is I'm pushing away from myself whatever I'm wanting to create for myself in my life. That's not very helpful. So, if there's a way that I can bring patience and kindness and tolerance, which are like a beautiful trinity, into my life, and just take one step to be patient, if I was being patient, how would I do things differently now? Probably breathing. And then take that first small step and then acknowledge and celebrate those steps. I really think that we're way too hard on ourselves. We create to-do lists that no one can possibly do in a week, much less a day. And then we have this unrealistic expectation that we have to be perfect for things to be okay. So we just set ourselves up for failure and just notice where we've taken that on and choose one little small step at a time to do things differently. It took us a while to get here. We're all a work in progress. So every time we take one small step forward, that's a victory beyond measure. Acknowledge yourself for it. And if you don't have time, find some way to celebrate it, because that will build the foundation for turning that ship around that's gone into that impatient, negative, beat myself up kind of way back into a grace, ease, and flow way. But it's like learning to run a marathon. It's going to take practice. So be kind and patient in that process.
What role has meditation played in helping you recalibrate over the years?
Well, it wasn't a process that I took on immediately. I was very much a right brain attorney kind of person who avoided feeling everything that I possibly could. And that really didn't work for me until I got like slammed by a 2x4 and I was on my knees when I was in my 20s and early 30s. So I think that people have the wrong idea about meditation. Like you have to sit there and go for an hour and to do it. And it's not true. There are 5-minute meditations on YouTube. There's walking meditations. Thich Nhat Hanh, I think I went and saw him. He's a Buddhist monk that came to Boulder, Colorado many, many years ago. And we went on a walking meditation outside in Boulder. And all we were doing was walking slowly, breathing, and appreciating the beautiful nature around us. And wherever we live, whether it's Pennsylvania like you or Colorado like me, there's the beauty of nature. So we can go on not a power walk, but just an appreciation walk and breathe. We can sit there quietly. Sometimes the meditative experience is just listening to certain music that maybe brings tears to my eyes, or I just love to maybe dance around and then be quiet with. So it doesn't have to necessarily be that I have to sit still and not do anything. That is one form of meditation, but there's many kinds out there. And my recommendation is just start with maybe a 5-minute meditation you find on YouTube. If you resonate with the person, you can come back. If not, there's plenty of others out there. Or maybe just join a meditation group. I know there are meditation groups at my yoga school, or probably online, where you just join other people and see what it does for you. What it does is it helps to calm our nervous system down so that we're wired more for that grace, ease, and flow, wired more for knowing how to calm ourselves down when something is upsetting or life is busy and hectic. And then we have the tools to handle everything better and to be in a better place.
So, as a grandmother and a mother, how do you pass along these lessons to the next generation?
Well, with my son, I only give him advice when he asks me. I've learned that as a mother, that as a grown son, that if he asks me for advice, he wants it. If he doesn't ask me, he doesn't want it. But the other way I can do that is to model it for him. I'm not perfect. Made lots of mistakes as a mom, hand up. But I do know a little bit more, having been married and divorced and raised him and all the other things I've done. And so I do my best to be a model for what I coach and what I mentor. I'm a work in progress like everybody else, but I think that's the best we can do. And I do find that when he actually asks me a question and wants to know something, that he really is listening, and then he has the opportunity to take that on board. And I guess that goes for the people that I work with as well. Usually they come to you because they want something, but sometimes when people say they want to change, they don't always. There's a lot of pushback. So you just have to be able to work with people with where they're at. And that's the best we can do, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. You've done soul readings at events. What's the most surprising insight you've received for someone?
Um, I don't know if there's anything that's really surprising because I guess when I'm doing a reading, it's not personality to personality, it's soul to soul. So I heart connect with them, and I have cards there that I work with, and they pick some and I pick some, and I can do it online as well. I really love it. It's a great form of mentoring. I just sort of allow it to flow, and quite frankly, I know this is it's like too much information to keep in my head. So when someone's soul reading is done, I'm done. But I have really had some really interesting experiences where I've had kids that have been born as like a really bright light, and their mom or dad brings them. If they're under the age of, you know, 10, 11, 12, 13, the parent has to be there. And this kid was like about, one child was about 6 or 7, and one parent was really open and interested, and the other one was like, whoa. So anyway, but the one that was really like that sat there, and you could just there was like this moment of what I was sharing with the kid, the child, and some of it was just like he didn't really hear, but something I said to him, I don't even remember what it was, but it was about something about really listening to his own heart's knowing and being true to himself or something like that. I don't remember the exact word, but something in him like lit up because no one had ever told him before that to listen to his own heart's knowing, which I wish that we were taught as children, and instead of just taking on all some of the stuff that adults tell us, which is not the truth. And that was just a really cool moment. That's a moment that I remember. Because a lot of people sometimes when they come to, when I've done it, readings like at a home or like at a party, that's really fun because people are more open. Some of these mind, body, spirit fairs that I used to do, they're just going from person to person to person, wanting to get an answer that they're looking for, and that's not really helpful because if anyone tells you they can tell the future, they're full of garbage because there's a myriad of different future possibilities in every single moment based upon what we're doing, the other people in our life, what's happening in the world, in our community, and it can change in a heartbeat. But we can tell people the opportunities that are available, how they can move around their challenges and obstacles, how they can make better decisions and things like that. But we can't really tell them if they're going to get a man or they're going to win the lottery and all that kind of stuff. So I guess really working with some children who were really like bright lights in their parents where they're supporting them. Those were some of the coolest moments that I've had when I've done soul readings.
So, because you work with a lot of women and stuff, how can high achieving women better celebrate their wins instead of constantly chasing the next goal?
Well, I think this is for all people, per just full stop, because I'm now working with IT professionals and not just women, because they
Oh,
seem to
okay.
be one of the most stressed people out there, especially since COVID. It's a choice. I think it's a learned behavior that we don't acknowledge ourselves for the things we actually do. Whether you're a mom, a dad, any kind of person, we've been taught that we don't really give ourselves like a little check mark because a lot of the things that are easy for us, those are just our gifts. I mean, it's very easy for me to write a blog. Don't ask me to do anything on my car other than to put windshield wiper fluid in it because I really don't know anything. But someone who can do that kind of work that's mechanical, I have the utmost admiration. So for that person, if I wrote an article for them, they would be in awe. So I think a lot of our gifts we don't give ourselves credit for. And people that are really good cooks, oh my God, I am so in awe of them. So whatever we do that's easy doesn't mean we don't have to give ourselves credit for it. It's something that we have a gift for, but we're still bringing that to the world. So just take a moment and acknowledge yourself. It's a choice, and stop going, oh, it's nothing. We need to remove that from our vocabulary or from our way of being and doing things. It's just not kind.
Mm. What? mm, But how do you define true success today versus how you did 20 years ago?
Gosh, I don't even remember how I did 20 years ago. Um, Well, I was just, it was hard when I was, well, I'll go back to when I was a young attorney. Like I got out of law school at 25, and oh my God, I was wearing like these women's suits that looked like man suits with a big bow tie, and I just looked like I was 12. And so my success was that someone would listen to me as an attorney because I looked like a kid. And so it's the opposite now. I just really feel that for me, for me back then, I just wanted to be acknowledged and be able to help people and be valued for the profession that I was in. And it just felt like it was an uphill battle when you're young. And I mean, by the time I was an attorney, there was about, it still wasn't like it is today, but about a third of my class was women. But still in most law firms, the partners were all men. So and that's part of the reason I went in business for myself. I'm like, I'm not going to go through that. But I think I was more focused on money and for people, for getting the respect of other people and being, thought that I was someone important. And I was like, you get over it, just like it doesn't matter. But success is to me, what am I bringing of value to myself, my family, the people that I'm working with? Am I helping them to move forward? You know, how am I contributing to the world that I'm in? Is it a better place because I'm here? I hope. That's more success for me now that I'm older, hopefully a little bit wiser. Sometimes I wonder, but I guess that's the difference. I still want to be able to take care of myself, but it's not the striving I felt when I was a young attorney, and I really did look, gosh, maybe 17 when I graduated from law school, and people didn't take me seriously. So I guess it's easier to be taken seriously when you have gray hair, so that's not an issue anymore.
Can you talk about transforming our inner critic into our own inner coach? Because we
Well,
were
I
talking
have
about
been
the inner
talking
critic.
about it, but I will work with it a little bit more because it
Yeah.
is so important. And that, um, I guess maybe an easy way to do this is to watch other people. Watch how other people put themselves down. This is another version of what I talked about before about, treating ourselves as we would other people. And then notice how you're doing that to yourself. Notice how when you talk to yourself negatively, how it brings you down, how it causes you to contract and play small. And it just feels like the energies on this planet, I'll talk about energies again, would love us to contract and play small because then we can't shine brightly and really make a difference in the world. And I'm just like, go jump in a lake. You always have to be like, no, that's not who I'm going to be. We have to really be strong and um, not in a rude way, but just empowered and say, no, back off. That's not who I am. And stand strong and proud in what we are choosing to bring to the world because it is valuable especially when we're coming from our hearts and we have something to contribute. And nobody has the right, and we don't have the right to do it to ourselves, to make ourselves contract and be small. It feels horrible when we do that. Notice how that feels, and then choose to be somebody who is stepping forward. And one of the things we can do to do that is the 5 or 6 most important people in our life that we surround ourselves with. That's who we're going to be more like. If you don't have people like that in your life, pick someone even in history that you can emulate, that you want to be more like. I mean, I love Winston Churchill. He got out there, he helped to turn the world around and get people on board to not have Nazism take over the whole world. That was not an easy feat. And, there are people in history that we can emulate. There are people maybe in the world we can emulate. We don't have someone in our lives, but we want to surround ourselves with people that are a couple steps ahead of us that we can say, I want to be more like them. They exhibit the qualities of who I am choosing to be. So it's not, we have to watch our language. I am choosing. I don't want to be, I'm not going to try to be. I am choosing to be more like this person or embody these kind of qualities more and more. And then check in with ourselves. How did I do with courage? How did I do with patience? How did I do with stepping forward to be my best self? And when we didn't make the grade, it's like, okay, I'm not beating myself up. It's an opportunity to learn and grow. If I have a similar situation, how can I do it differently next time that more emulates the people that I want to be more like? And it's a process, it's not a perfect. Don't beat yourself up, but maybe engage in that process, and practice makes permanent. Eventually, we begin to step forward, even if for a while it feels like we're pushing and pushing and we're not getting anywhere. We're going to get there. We're just building that inertia to sort of pop through to one step forward on the other side, and then we'll have another way to do that again. It never really ends.
Excuse me. Um, what are some of your daily rituals that keep you grounded and aligned in your values?
Um, well, I have a daily yoga practice that helped me. I used to ski, but I got injured, and I had to like. And I used to run. I used to do a lot of races, and that was fun. I injured myself there too. So I'm being a lot kinder to my body as a yoga person. That really helps to clear my mind and physically, emotionally, mentally, because I do more of the hard kind of yoga because I'm a kind of physical person. And I also do some meditation and some affirmations, and I also do some things just to cleanse and clear my energy field of people's energetic connections that aren't mine, and just spend some time as I begin each day and before I go to bed at night to really get into that calm space. And if it's nice outside, I make sure I get outside and breathe some fresh air. And if I don't have time for a long walk, just do a little something to appreciate nature. So, and whatever I'm doing, it doesn't really matter. It's really for your audience. What makes your heart sing? What lifts you up? Whether it's cooking or pottery or gardening or running or something that really just helps you to get away from the day-to-day stuff where you can clear your head and your heart opens and you're like, I love this. That's important for all of us.
When you reflect on your life, what has been your biggest internal transformation?
Um, I guess the biggest internal transformation is that I have a person that I love very much in my life, and we are beautiful mirrors of each other, and just butting heads. And I've noticed that when I drop defensiveness and I'll accept them and love them exactly as they are, and I don't try to change them. I do that for myself. The more I do that, the more I practice that, the more things harmonize within myself, and the more things harmonize with us in our relationship. And and I'm really grateful that I've had a couple of mentors that have pointed that out to me. It's not always easy to hear your fur balls, but it's like, oh my God, yes. And I guess the other thing that really helped me is that when I was younger, I was really, really attached to my son being a success. And he had some ADHD, and so I was a hovering mom. And I had someone else who was a really dear friend and a mentor of mine sort of point out, Arlene, that is really arrogant and not helping him. He needs to fail. He needs to fall on his face. So as an adult, as a young adult, he's not going to know how to pick himself up. And so, when he was like in high school, I did. I stepped way back was the hardest thing I ever did as a parent and watched him fail and pick himself up and never let him see me cry about it. And, he's a success today. But if I hadn't taken on that advice. I think lots of times other people that love us and care about us and see us, and maybe we get mentors or coaches to help us, and we really take on board what's shared. We can really be a different person. And so those are two areas of my life that I did, and I'm grateful for that. I stopped being so arrogant and no, 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 I'm not going to listen and self-righteous, and it did make a real big difference.
What legacy do you hope to leave for the people you serve, for the clients you serve?
um Well, I hope that their life is a little bit clearer and brighter, and that they're able to bring more of their best self to the world because of their interaction with me. That they get the courage to do that. That they don't give up. That they keep on stepping forward. That they don't expect perfection. All the things that I've talked about that I choose to bring. That's what I hope for them. And only they can do it. But when they do shine, I find it's the best thing ever.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. But now we've come to the part of the show where you get the solo screen and you get to plug away, let them know where they can find your website, everything. So
Well,
here we
thank
go.
you. Great. So, my name is Arlene Cohen, Cohen Miller. If you Google that name, you'll find every place that I'm on the internet because that's the only one I know. Arlene Cohen Miller, and my website is Jewel Jewel Consultancy, like the diamond. Coaching, mentoring, soul readings. I also do workshops and speaking gigs. It's not quite on my website yet. And if you mention Real Wise Productions, you can text me at 720-936-2634. We can text, have a little chat that way, or even have a quick phone conversation if there's some way I can be of service to you, and that is at no charge. So thank you for allowing me to do that.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for being such a wonderful guest.
My
It's my pleasure.
pleasure.
It's my pleasure having you on, and because I know we were supposed to get together in December, and scheduling conflict happened. So, but I'm
I'm sorry.
no, that was, oh, life happens. That's, to me, that's fine. Um, how did the trip go? Was it great?
Yeah, my grandson and my son and I went up to Glenwood Springs, and we went all up in the mountains over Christmas. My grandson likes to get out and do things, and my son's wife came too, and it was just really lovely. That was our Christmas gift to each other. So that's why I didn't see you in December, but
Oh, that's
so that's what
awesome.
happened.
Oh no, that was worth it. That was worth it. But thank you so much for being a guest. I greatly appreciate it. Don't leave just yet. Let me close out the show and we'll chat a little bit off the air. But thank you so much for being such a great guest.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Another episode is in the books. Shout out to everybody who's catching this live. Thank you and greatly appreciate it. If you catch the replay, thank you for catching the replay. Leave comments. Definitely check out Arlene's website and hit her up. And as always, big shout out to the Real Wise fam, Poppy J, Brandy J, love you guys. Shout out to the boss lady, appreciate and love you. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless y'all. Be safe. You know your boy Wise does it. Peace out.